folks, how we doing? All right then, so glad to see all of you here. Glad to be here. As a native of Houston, Texas, glad to be in Memphis. Not my first time being in Memphis. All the folks from Memphis, let me hear you. Chicago people? Y'all really from Mississippi. That's where you're from. Mississippi folks? Texas? All right then. Arkansas? Okay, just checking. Again, glad to see all of you here. Folks have been talking about where do we go from here, but let me remind you, the name of Dr. King's book was Where Do We Go From Here, Chaos or Community? And so if we don't have that last half, we leave off the meaning of that. And so if we talk about where do we go from here, it's going to require us to have a sense of community. Otherwise, there will be chaos. And so although we are commemorating Dr. King's assassination, which took place on this day at 6:01 p.m., the real question is, what are you going to do tomorrow, April 5th, and April 6th, and April 7th? Because that's when the work actually is done. And so that's what we have to be all about. So we're looking forward to all the different initiatives that are going on. I appreciate Kristen Clark, the Lawyers Committee for Civil Rights on the Law. Give her a hand, please. And the reason I'm saying that, because many of the legal battles that you have been seeing waged across the country, they are a result of what the Lawyers Committee have been doing, what Cheryl and Eiffel, the NAACP Legal Defense Fund have been doing. They have been fighting voter suppression. They have been fighting voter ID. They have been fighting when it comes to discrimination continuing in housing. And so we can talk about civil rights activists, but if you don't have civil rights lawyers fighting the battles in the courts, then you're not going to see the kind of change that's required. So give our civil rights lawyers a round of applause. And so I'm still waiting for them to bring me what I'm supposed to be doing. Now, I get paid to talk, so this ain't a problem to talk. But one thing I will say this here that I think we need folks to do, and that is, every person here should have a copy of Dr. King's book, Where Do We Go From Here, Chaos or Community? And the reason, bring the book to me, please. Every single one of you should, because he lays out in this book, written in 1967, really what our agenda moving forward. He talks about black fraternities and sororities. He talks about the black press. He talks about our HBCUs. And when I talk about our HBCUs, unfortunately, we have black graduates of HBCUs giving on average 5% to our university. That is not how we're going to sustain Lemoyne-Owen, or how we're going to sustain Jackson State or Howard University or Spelman or Morehouse. If we are not saving our own colleges, we can't expect anybody else to save our own colleges. And the last thing is, somebody who's a senior analyst for the Tom Jordan Morning Show and on TV One, I'm a believer in the black press. Dr. King said in this book, he said the black press must remain militant and speaking up for the interests of black people. And when we talk about what is happening here, we cannot expect any other media, any network or newspaper to tell our story. If we don't support black media telling our story, then we're going to be asking somebody else to tell our history. And I have no interest